Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the JNE Investments team. And today we have another new launch review.
Springleaf Residence, and this is one of the most anticipated new launch this year because ever since Lentor have a full sell,
Every time they launch Lentor,
Yes.
Lentor sell out. The next development at Lentor, it sells out again.
Yes,
So now
and-
no choice,
yes.
have to move forward.
Yeah,
Once the
and
market
they
is
are
patient.
looking at this place because I would say land is pretty decent in terms of the PSF, and that's something we'll assess later on.
Yep.
But speaking of Springleaf, I think we always think about Springleaf Prata,
Prata.
and a place where people say it's a bit out of the way. But today we're going to run through how would this project fare.
Yep, and whether there is an oversupply because of all the plots at Lentor area, and this development is not small also. So we'll also talk a little bit about the demand and supply in this area in a while.
Alright, so let's jump straight into it. But before we start, I thank our clients for your utmost support. Currently gotten 184 5-star good review, and this is very encouraging.
And also for everybody who has subscribed to our YouTube channel, we've hit 17K. So thank you everyone who has been watching our YouTube channel and helping us reach the 17K subscribers.
And also, we have served over 700 investment clients with returns of 19.56% per annum after netting out costs. And it's something that we hope to continue to develop to more clients through our review and our investment consult.
So if you're someone and you're looking in the market for your next investment home, or you just want to speak to someone about your options, you can always scan a QR code over here and we'll have someone reach out to you.
And also, in bonus segment, we also have there's a supply and demand analysis for Springleaf area because people are wondering, hey, is there too many units in Springleaf? Can the demand feed the supply? And it's something that we have done analysis. So scan the QR code right below, and we're more than happy to validate to you and send you this new launch guide straight away.
Okay, so a quick introduction on Springleaf Residence. It's actually by GuocoLand and Hong Leong. So they took monopoly at Lentor area for most of the plots. And now they're moving their monopoly down to Springleaf.
Yes.
This plot is going to be right next to Springleaf MRT. It's going to be 941 units. So we don't usually see such big development. So this is one of the, I would say, mega launch. Yeah,
yes.
for this year. So it's going to be 6 blocks of 25 story, and the estimated TOP is going to be 2029.
And Kappa lots is 759. Okay, nowadays it's even rare to even get 50%.
Yep.
Nowadays, a lot of the new launches, they are actually going for almost 40%.
Especially if you are next to the MRT.
Yes, so I think this is one thing that we can appreciate. And one thing to note is a lot of the land plots around this area tend to be low rise, okay, because of nearer to a landed area. That's why it's one of the rare plots that we see over here at 2.5 plot ratio. You're looking at almost between 2.1 and 2.8. You're getting about 24, 36 stories. So I think it's something that we can take note as compared to the low rise around this area.
One thing to also note is that you will see this
Sorry.
okay,
3, 2, 1.
One thing to also note is that you'll see this little seating within the plot. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. It's basically a conservation building that was previously a school, and the government had rulings that if a developer wants to take over this land, they then have to conserve the structure of the building.
Yes. And there's MRT, okay, it's next to Springleaf, which is about 22 minutes from Orchard. So pretty, I would say, decent in terms of travelling time to Orchard area.
And Springleaf, of course, for people who are not familiar, the well-known thing around here is Springleaf Prata Place. So it's the place where people say last time it's very ulu and very hard to find parking. But now with the MRT, it makes things a lot more convenient, I would say, for this area itself.
Yes. And in terms of location-wise, it's located right next to the Springleaf enclave. You have the landed enclave right here, and also with the nature reserve that they're well known for a lot of exotic birds that actually migrate to this area. So it's one of the, I would say, interesting plot that's found next to a nature reserve.
Yeah, I think it's quite rare in Singapore where you still be able to get this kind of views where it's like completely greenery outside your window.
Yes. And in terms of land plot, you can see over here, right next to you have the entire green plot. This is really unblocked nature reserve.
Come as park, it will not change.
Yes, not change over time. And then the orange side over here, there are all the landed enclaves. So it's very interesting. Where Springleaf is located in between the Upper Thomson Road area all the way up to the Yishun area. So it's really in between.
Yeah, so I think for Springleaf side, there are 2 plots that is beside the MRT. The first plot is actually parcel A, which didn't actually get any bid. So people are quite confused, like, how come nobody is bidding or no developer is bidding for this plot? And if you have to look a little bit deeper into the plot, you realize that actually this plot is not a pure full residential. It actually has this new component called service apartments.
Yes, so service apartments are similar like hotel. Okay, they are not allowed to sell as units They're actually long-term stay hotel where you need to at least rent out 3 months, okay, per tenancy. And this itself, it just means that developer have less profit margin to make by selling residential units, which is the usual way of earning from development scene, but they have to rent out. And from this, right, that's why it's something, a very new concept tested in this area. Developers are not willing to take the risk.
Yeah, I think the last time this happened, they actually have a plot at River Valley, and
Yes.
I think for River Valley area, people are a bit more receptive. I mean, developers are a bit more receptive because that's where I would say expats tend to rent, but
Yes.
you don't really hear the demand of expats renting in Springleaf area.
Yeah, so it's very good try by government to see where the developer will take it.
Yeah.
And Kenny, it's not all developers take SA2 because they need to have experience in managing hotels. That's why usually it's a CDL who have run hotels before. Then they will be more keen. So you are really limited by the number of developer pool, and you're limited even further in location. That's why this didn't do well in this area. But doesn't mean that it's a bad launch, because after that you can see when the parcel B launch for this Springleaf site, there are still takers, which in this case we have GuocoLand who took this land plot.
Yep. So sometimes when there is no developer that takes the land, the government may then change the terms for it. So potentially they may relaunch it, but without the service apartment in the future also.
Yep. And in terms of site plan, you notice very familiar because it's very similar to this
Same
launch.
developer.
Same developer, GuocoLand, which actually did this place called Lentor Mansion.
Yeah.
In terms of the number of blocks, it's also like almost the same. About a total of this is 6 blocks.
The way it's being placed,
being
the kind of views of
placed.
the entire development is pretty similar to Lentor Mansion.
Yes, and the beauty of this is you can notice that this is a very interesting like conservation building. In fact, a school,
Yeah.
which is in fact there's actually a track and field kind of location here, which now they convert into a normal lawn area, but it used to be like a school field. So it's quite interesting. They managed to merge a conservation building together with a development site.
Yeah, and that's why you also realize that the facade of the entire building is made of bricks, because they kind of want to
Yes.
blend into the conservation building, which is originally made of like red bricks.
Yes, indeed. Okay, and one thing to note is the unblocked view is a very beautiful site. You don't have any high rise
Yeah.
around it, so you really have the unblocked view all the way down to Marichi. So it's something to be very excited about.
Yeah. So this is the unit distribution chart. You will see that there is a special block, which is block 821. This is the conservation school. So there are going to be, I think, 30 plus 32 units that is going to be under the conservation blocks. We'll talk a little bit more about, if they, how these should be priced if you're looking at these special units.
Yes. And in terms of the view, as mentioned just now, okay, there's one that faces towards the Seletar Expressway. Okay, then there is another plot that faces towards the landed enclave. So I guess it's a very nice, I would say, facade for both the inward face and outward face.
Yeah.
So one thing to take note is this is Springleaf actual site. Okay, there's one side that is facing the expressway, there's unblocked view. The other side will also have unblocked view for now, actually for some of the blocks, but take note there's actually an upcoming Upper Thomson Future Site A that it was originally supposed to be for SA2, but no one bid for it. So this will be another land plot that potentially will be coming up to actually block your some of the blocks view. But in short, most of the views are almost close to unblocked. And in terms of land bid, notice that only one developer bid, which is GuocoLand. Very interesting. Some people are worried that if only one developer bid, is there a problem in this land plot?
Yeah.
But if you really to understand a little more about the backstory of this area, you can see this is very similar to Lentor site, which is very monopolized by GuocoLand.
Yeah.
And they just simply want to conquer this entire Lentor Springleaf site. So you can see when a developer is heavily invested in certain areas, other developer may be a little bit more wary to want to go and outbid the developers in this area. That's why you end up only having one developer bidding for his land.
Some of the technicals that you read in the land bid, right, is that the developer is tasked to build the facade such that it reduce bird strikes. I think because it's a nature reserve, right? So there will be a lot of like unique bird species, I would assume.
Yes.
And to do so, they did mention that you have to build the facade a certain way. So this is probably going to be very similar to Lentor Mansion. I remember when Lentor Mansion first launched, the first thing that people commented were the windows. Like, why is it not a full glass to ceiling window?
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
And in this case, it will be similar over here because they don't want to prevent bird strike. So bird strike is where birds are just flying and bang against the glass, and it will cause casualty for the birds. So they want to make it technical, and they want to make sure that the facade is not full glass, but rather it's
It's like
pass.
it's not going to be like super transparent such that the bird is just going to smash into your window. It's going to look a bit like Lentor mentioned. So if you go to the next slide, you will see that the facade of things is going to look a little bit like your HDB windows, which is exactly what you will see in Lentor mentioned.
And on top of what Grace mentioned just now, there's actually a conservation building. It used to be a school, and now they are restored to be part of the residential development. This is the original facade you can see on the left-hand side, low story, okay? And then what they'll do is they convert into something more luxurious, and the school field that they had in front will be made into a lawn.
Yes.
So I think it's quite nicely done up to blend to the development.
So what this also means is that there would be some unit types or that specific 32 units that is going to be out of the school. So the original building is a school. They're not going to be tearing it down. They're just going to kind of change the interior of it. And that's why you realize that the layout will be a bit more special. And this is not the first time that this has happened. The last time or another development that we see is Avenue South Residences. So within that same development then, depending on which tower, is it a brand new one built or is it a conservation, you'll notice that the inside will look very different.
Yeah, so Avenue South used to have old HDB blocks in the area, which has a lot of conservation value. So the government, when they sold this land to the developer, they actually require them to preserve and conserve this HDB blocks. So what they did is they converted HDB blocks into a residential. But in this case, it's special. So it's a classroom now converted into a residential development. So it is something that will have very similar characteristic. And you might find out, like, should we consider a conservation unit?
Or special one or the regular one?
Okay, feel free to contact any of our investment broker and we're more than happy to analyze this for you.
So the break-even price is about 1,688 plus 7% for area harmonization is going to be about 1,008. We expect the average, we don't have the indicative, but it should be about 2,001 to 2,002, which is close to what Lentor is actually transacting at.
Yes. And next, let's take a unit mix. You notice, very interesting, about 35% with 2-bedder, but the remaining 65% are mainly the 3 to 4-bedders. And you can see it's very obvious that they're trying to cater to the upgraders in the area who are more keen to the 3-bedder to 4-bedder. And in fact, there's also a number of units, which are about 71 units. This is a 5-bedroom. 7.5%, pretty, I would say, decent number of units. And I believe they're trying to emulate what happened in Lentor Mansion, because Lentor Mansion 5-bedder is fully sold out. So right now you have the 5-bedder here to supplement the lack of supply in that area.
So looking at price matrix wise, we don't know where it's going to be starting from, but if it's averaged between 2001 to 2002, then you can estimate the prices to be around this range that is highlighted in the green box.
Yes, and in fact, one of the very interesting unit that is a 1-bedroom, 3A square feet. Later, take a look. The quantum will be quite interesting. So using that, we can assess there's only a few units, so not many 1-bedder in the first place.
So we'll look at the floor plans from two ways. One of them will go through the normal floor plans in the regular towers first. Then we'll move on to the more special unit types in the conservation blocks.
So first up, let's take a look at the 2-bed 1-bath for Spring Residence. 527 square feet, this after area harmonized, so doesn't include the aircon. Ranging at about 2,001 per square feet is about 1.1 million. So this layout actually have an open concept kitchen, okay, with a pretty wide dining and living area. So this actually provides a dumbbell layout kind to reduce the lack of efficiency of space.
Okay, the next one look at is 2-bed, 2-bath, 646 square feet. Also dumbbell layout. Kitchen-wise, bathroom-wise, they don't have windows, which is quite common, I would say, in the newer developments for this kind of unit type. So if you take it about 2,100 per square feet, your average is going to be about 1.356 to 1.4 million.
And one thing to take note is that the master bedroom and bedroom 2 tends to be slightly bigger than the usual 2-bedder. At 646 square feet, one thing I remember is actually next to Lentor Mansion. So they're really taking the inspiration of Lentor Mansion, the layout type. The only difference is instead of tuck-in kitchen, they make it one that is at one side, but if you want, you can easily glass out a glass partition to actually make it similarly enclosed.
I think one thing you'll realize between these and other developments is that when you walked in, your width of your living room is going to be slightly wider. Usually for 2-bedders, they're maybe 2.8, 2.9 meters, but this is 3.1 meters.
Yes, so pretty wide.
Okay, so comparing it with the OCR as well as Lentor prices, OCR average per square feet is about 2,398 for 2-bedder. OCR Quantum for 2-bedder, it's about 1.7 plus million. And then Lentor average pricing for the new launch 2-bedders are about 1.685. So Springleaf 2-bed, 2-bath, if you were to be able to enter at 1.3 plus, you'll be, I think, at quite a safe buffer towards your competitors that actually enter a Lentor area.
Yeah, so likelihood, like Lentor mentioned, 2-bedders sold that's our expectation, so on within the same day itself. Okay. Next up, let's take a look at a 3-bed, 2-bath. Similarly, they are really emulating Lentor mansion. The kitchen at the side is actually tucked in at one side. Okay, and the living room, the only difference, the living room is actually wider than usual. Most of the 3-bedder, 3.1 meter. At 76 square feet, because you don't have the wasted space at the walkway, it's actually pretty efficient layout. You have a 3-bed, 2-bath. And at 2,000 per square feet, you're looking at about 1.65 million.
The next one is 904 square feet. Average is going to be about 1.9 if it's 2,100 per square feet. I personally feel if for 3-bedders, if budget can stretch, try to get one with the flexi room or the home shelter. Because for family-wise, when they upgrade, let's say they are upgrading from HDB, usually they would prefer something with a home shelter or flexi room. And these are the unit types that will tend to move slightly faster when it comes to the resale market also.
And it's quite amazing how they can squeeze into 904 square feet. Really, once again, emulating Lentor mansion. Yeah. Okay, and next we have the 3-bedroom, 3-bath, the bigger unit, 1,023 square feet. You have a household shelter, which is very similar to the flexi, but I would say similar like a bomb shelter. Okay, and on top of that, you also have another, I would say, small study, so the 3-bedroom plus study called flexi. And this itself, 2,001 per square feet, again about 2.148 million, I would say about 2.2 million.
So I think this is a true flexi, right? I think there are some developers that term it as a 3+ study, but some of the layout types of study is really just like a small corner or a small nook. So this one will be a proper study room with windows that you can actually use.
Yes, and you also have a toilet, very interesting, at the front of your entrance. Very interesting, because usually it should be tucked at the kitchen.
It's like a Lentor mansion again.
Yes.
So it's a hit or miss, I guess. Some people will say, if it's for helper-wise, normally the home shelter will be faced inwards. This one is also faced outwards.
So compared to OCR area right now at 2,002 per square, that's the average 3-bedder price. OCR 3-bedder nowadays are going at 2.372, and Lentor average is going at 2.278. So if they launch it cheap, and in this case you are able to have a good ballot number, that's when people still have a chance to enter below that OCR pricing.
Yeah. Okay, and the next one we look at is the 4-bedder. 1,227 is exactly the unit size for Lentor mansion.
Yes.
If you do go and really just compare the layout, it's really, really very similar. Even the balcony side, they actually extend out to the next, the 4th bedroom, which is what Lentor mansion did. Yes. So 2,100, your average is going to be about 2.5 to about 2.6 million.
Yes, and one thing that is different for Lentor mansion, the only difference you notice, layout almost the same, is at the bathroom. Okay, so for Lentor mansion, if you know the layout, the bathroom is actually located right over at the dining area. So perhaps they decided,
people commented or
feedback, they said, hey, I don't want it to be in front of my dining. So perhaps they actually shifted it a bit more to the entrance at a more like a powder room. Yeah, so they actually interestingly done it a pretty decent way. And as compared to the OCR area, average for 4-bedder is going about 2,153 per square feet. And OCR average 4-bedder is going at 2.862, and Lentor average price is going at 2.821 million. So if the 4-bedder will launch below that, I would say is something that will easily be taken up, and that's something that people are looking forward to.
Okay, the next one we'll look at is the 5-bedder. So out of all the Lentor plots, the only development that has 5-bedder is actually Lentor mansion. And surprisingly, usually the 5-bedders are the last one to move. Usually upon TOP or like maybe 1 year before that. But Lentor mansion, because it's the only development with 5-bedder, so the supply is not a lot. And that's why you'll see even before like TOP, just I think they launched last year, right? By one year from launch, they actually cleared out even their 5-bedders.
And that's why GuocoLand is confident to launch its 5-bedder.
Another 5-bedder, yeah.
We have 70+ units at 1,453 square feet, very similar to Ori 5-bedder, the same size exactly. One thing to note is the interior, they are following the Lentor mansion style, really inspired by Lentor mansion. No wonder it's the same developer. Yeah, the wet kitchen itself, it comes in a yard area, and household shelter is located on the other side with a single door entrance at the front and a powder room at the front. Other than that, the layout, I would say 4 of them face outwards and 1 of them face towards inward with another 3 more bathroom.
Yeah, so I think what they did at Lentor mansion in the show floor to show the possibility of things is that, the 5th bedroom can actually be hacked down. If someone really prefers like a much wider or landscape kind of living room and they don't need that 5th bedroom, then this one can be like a 4-bedder premium.
Yes. All right. And in terms of 5-bedroom, the OCR prices are about 2,191 per square feet. Average price about 3.439 million. But right now, Lentor area, you can get something about 3.4 and below. But if you can get about a 3 million range, you launch it right about 3.1, 3.2, I would say is something that people are willing to accept in this place because it has been transacted in the area.
So moving forward, we've looked at the floor plans for the regular tower. Now we'll look at the ones for the conserved building. Okay, so for conserved building side, that's where the 1-bedder is going to be at. again, for a one bedder, I would say it's very wide at 3 meters in terms of the width. And there is no balcony. So it's totally internal space, 388 square feet, which is rather small, but I'm not sure how they managed to fit everything in. Estimate of 2,100, right? Your quantum is going to be about 800K. So again, this is really a quantum play because it's very, very hard to find anything under $1 million today already.
Yes, correct. So I think people will really snap it, but at the same time, 3A square feet, why you can squeeze this kind of layout is because they didn't include any balcony.
Yes.
So that's why it's very fully utilizable space in the area. At 800K, honestly, I would say I haven't seen this number for a long time for new launches. So yeah, but there's only a few units left for one bed, one bath. So I won't be expecting a lot of a supply in the area.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at the average OCR one bedder per square feet is about close to 2,004. Your average quantum is about 1.2 plus, and at Lentor area, your one bedder will be about 1.1 million.
Yes. Next, we have the 2 bed, 2 bath for conserved building. You can see they made it quite interesting. A dumbbell layout with a 3.1 meter living space. So pretty huge for the bedrooms, along with an open concept kitchen. So looking at 2,001 per square feet, at 592 square feet, you're getting a 1.2, which is, I would say, slightly lower than the average price of the 2 bed, 2 bath in the area.
Yep. So the next one we move on is the 3 bedder, very, very wide. Again, because you'll notice that this is the old school building. So sometimes the layout wise, it's a bit hard to go and build another balcony out of it. That's why you see that all the unit over here, they don't have the balcony. So for people that prefer internal space, they rather not have the balcony, then maybe this would be a layout that you'll be looking at. So you will see that the whole living area, the width is 4.3 meters, and the whole length is close to maybe about 8 meters.
Yes, so this is something that we've seen in very old developments. We haven't seen this kind of layout type with a huge living area. But nowadays, space is so precious and definitely there'll be balcony. But a good thing about this kind of layout is because it's all fully utilized. So people who don't need balcony, who just need a living space, is quite ideal. But once again, there's only a few units for this kind of conservation type. So it depends on someone who is looking at the normal conversion type or conservation type. You have catered to two different groups of buyer.
Yep. Okay, so the next part we'll look at are the resale comparisons. How much are the resale transacting at the Lentor area, as well as, let's say, other developments, for example, Norwood Grand that came up last year.
Yes.
Next one we'll look at is the new launch comparisons, which is the one that actually launched at Lentor, all those plots, how they're comparing with this one at Springleaf, as well as Norwood Grand that actually launched last year.
Yeah, because in this area, there's not much resale. In fact, the resale are all small developments, so we don't see it's a direct comparative. So that's why we're looking into the new launches in this area.
So for Norwood Grand, launched last year, it's actually next to Woodlands South MRT, about 348 units. And then for Lentor sites, these are all the plots that you have here. Total, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plots, out of which Lentor Central GLS is the only one that hasn't been launched yet.
Yes. And in terms of the condo, they are actually pretty apple-to-apple comparison. Number one, most of them are from GuocoLand.
Yes.
So same developer.
Or Hong Leong, which is also GuocoLand.
GuocoLand, yeah, like sister parent company. And what we see over here, number unit size 477, 533, 598, 474, 267, 605. I would say it's mid-sized development, but Springleaf itself is actually a big development, which was a big plot. Yeah, so there's something we can compare accordingly. Age-wise, it's only about 1-2 years apart. So I would say it's a very interesting comparison we're looking at.
Yeah. So for all these developments, all 4 of them are actually pre-harmonized, which is Lentor Hills, Hillock Green, Lentor and Lentor Modern. So the 2 developments that are blocked out, Lentor Central and Lentor Mansion, these are the 2 that are post-area harmonization, which is what Springleaf Residence is. The rest at Lentor Hills, Hillock Green, Lentor and Lentor Modern, these are all pre-area harmonized. So when we compare, the per square feet comparison may not be the
most accurate because you see post or pre. So let's jump into the PSF. You can see the latest is Lentor Central, which is currently almost like 99% sold out. So you can see lowest is a 1982 per square feet. The highest is a 2586 per square feet. Okay, and for Lentor Mansion, the second one that also 100% sold out, 2104 per square feet to 2467 per square feet. So I guess this 2 is the closest comparisons you can find, which we'll run through in a while. Then next we have all the way to Norwood Grand, because it's one stop up in Woodlands South area, 1895 per square feet to 2252 per square feet. But take note, location is slightly different. Once you had the word Woodlands in it, I would say it will the value of the area will be slightly lower down as compared to that of Lentor or Springleaf area. Then last but not least, we have Lentor, Hillock Green, and Lentor Modern. Okay, these are all before area harmonization. So the PSF does include aircon latch. So naturally, it seems a bit lower. So from there, we need to, let's compare apple to apple, need to prorate the PSF to have a better comparative.
Yeah, so you would see that actually Lentor area has already seen like 2004, 2005 per square feet. Not the average, but these are some of the transactions that already have happened. So I think if you're able to get in about the 2000 range, 2001 range, you still got a close buffer to whatever the Lentor prices have been transacting at.
Yes, indeed. Alright. So first up, let's compare the 1 bed, 1 bath. For Spring Residence at 3A square feet, quantum-wise about 800 plus K, even at 2001. You can see it's at least about 200, 300K below that of most of our launches around the area. With No Grand, the latest transacted at 1.07 million. Lentor Modern about 1.3 million. Lentor Central is about 1.2 million thereabout. I would say it's almost that kind of quantum that's pretty low as compared to the rest. And compared to Hillock Green, it came out at 1.32 million. Lentor Hill at 1.139 million, Lentor at 1.329 million. So you can see the gap itself is pretty wide and there's only a few units, so naturally it will be step up on launch day.
Yep. So you also see for Lentor prices, their 1-bedder have kind of hit the kind of pricing that Springleaf 2-bedder may start from. So if you're able to enter a 2-bedder that's close to the Lentor's 1-bedder pricing, I think you have a very good advantage or safety buffer when it comes to exiting in the future also.
Yes. So next let's take a look at a 2-bed, 1-bath for Spring Residence. You can see, as mentioned Grace just now, the quantum that was start is about, I would say, on average 1.1 million, 1.2. It's very close to that of the 1-bedders at Lentor new launches, even all the way up to Norwood, which is Woodlands area.
Yeah.
And one to take note is that compared to 2-bed, 1-bath, there's actually 4 projects to take note. One is Lentor Modern, Lentor Central, Hillock Green, and Lentor Mansion. So in the Lentor Modern 2-bed, 1-bath, they're already going 1.5 million. The only difference it comes in additional flexi room, but still a 2-bed, 1-bath. Lentor Central recently sold out, but I would say it's not really a 2-bed, 1-bath. It's actually more of 1+ study. It's transacted at 1.281 million for the first floor unit. And for Hillock Green, the 2-bed, 1-bath, people are really transacted last at 1.45 million. And last one, Lentor Mansion, 527 square feet, also fully sold out at 1.263 million last year. So I would say to get this right now at Springleaf, they're really pricing. If priced sensitively, of course, it's our prediction. It could be pricing higher, 2,324, you never know. Then we must have this thing called walk-away price.
Yep.
That's something we'll discuss. We have one-to-one consult with our investment consultant.
Yep, so looking at a 2-bed, 2-bath, there are 2 types. One is the regular tower, one is the conservation tower. The regular tower is 646 square feet, about 1.356. The 592 square feet one and the conservation is about 1.243. Comparing to Lentor Modern, I think averagely at Lentor area, generally they've hit about the 1.6 to 1.7 for their 2-bedders. Okay, so you'll see Norwood Grand will still be about the 1.3 plus range, Lentor Central close to 1.7 for the high floor ones. And of course, you got Hillock Green, Lentor Hills, Lentor Mansion, and Lentoria, all about 700, close to 600 plus 700 square feet. And you'll see that the quantum-wise ranges from about 1.5 all the way up to about close to 1.7.
That's why if they're ready to launch right, there's a 2-bed, 2-bath, and you buy the right price, there's always this called built-in profits where you basically can exit at what people buy at today.
Yeah.
And from there, rather than going to the FOMO and going for other places where you're buying a sky price and driven by demand, are we able to buy something in the market that has this assured gains in this area?
Yep. Okay, so the next one is the 3-bed, 2-bath. Springleaf Residence, 786 square feet. Average is going to be about 1.65 if it launches at 2,100 per square feet. Norwood Grand, 872 square feet. The last transacted was about 1.8 million for a level 5.
Yes. And in terms of the Hillock Green, is doing about 2.1 million. Okay. Lentor here is about 2.163. Lentor Mansion, 1.7. That's why it's sold out on launch day. So they really try to emulate Lentor Mansion.
Yes.
Okay, that's for first floor unit. Lentora is about 2.172. So really the kind of price content gap we're seeing right now, I would say is real in Lentor area. Okay, last but not least, we have Lentor Central, which are fully sold out, 914. That's really interestingly, if you know, it keep bouncing out, coming back in, bouncing out and coming back. I see 3 times bounce out and someone took it and then it bounced out again. But in short, they concluded finally at 2.132 million at 2,330 per square feet for compact layout.
So the next one we'll be looking at is the 3-bed, 2-bath plus flex. I think they're getting a bit of comments back, right? That, home shelter takes out a lot of space. So why not have a flexi room? That's when the 3-bed, 2-bath plus flex came about. So for Springleaf, it's going to be 904 square feet, average about 1.9. Norwood Grand, the last transacted second floor was about 1.85. They didn't really have a flexi room, but there is this little study area that they can kind of box out themselves to be a flex room. Lentor Modern one, 969 square feet. This one was about 2.24 million. Lentor Mansion ground floor unit was about 2.05 million for their 904 square feet.
So they launched it right for this PSF. I would say it would be at least about 2 to 300k below that of the market area.
So for Springleaf and Lentor Mansion, if you compare it side by side, you really see that the layout is like almost exactly the same, even where the flexi is, where the bedrooms are, as well as like how they kind of position the kitchen.
They can actually just
Copy
reuse
paste.
the Lentor Mansion show flat to redo this entire Spring Residence. And next, let's compare the conservation building, the 3-bed 3-bath, 119 square feet without any balcony. It's actually very similar to that of the Norwood Grand, the 1044 square feet unit at about 2.1 million. Lentor Central at about 2.25 million for the premium because of the size. I would say it's actually pretty similar in terms of quantum in this case.
Yep.
But of course, conservation unit is only a few units, so not much inventory in the first place. And when compared to Coulott Green, the closest we have is 105 square feet unit, which is about close to 2.4 million last transacted. Okay, and for Lentor Hill at 1098 square feet, it's also about 2.4 million. So we can say it is about similar price because of the size and the fact that it's conservation. So it's a unique kind of a layout that I would say stands out against the rest.
Yep. Okay, so for the 3-bed 3-bath plus flexi plus home shelter, Springleaf Wise 1023 square feet is going to be about 2.148 million. If it's 2,100 per square feet, this is going to be the normal tower, so not the conservation. Norwood Green 1044 was about 2.1, so rather close to what Norwood Green last transacted. Lentor Modern, higher floor, was about 2.4 million. Lentor Mansion ground floor, which transacted close to 2.3 million, as well as Lentoria pre-harmonized project at close to even 2.5 million for the 3-bedder.
Yeah, so for the 3-bedder that's in the normal block, I would say the quantum is actually much more affordable as compared to that of the conservation building. All right, last but not least, we have the 4-bedroom. In this case, 4-bedroom, I would say average about 2.6 million to 2.7 million. It's actually very similar to Norwood Grand for the, like I said, 4-bedder premium, 1313 square feet. Okay, and followed by that, Lentor Central is already hitting about 2.6 million. This is something that I would say a compact layout that was fully sold out on launch day itself. So the quantum-wise is very similar for Norwood Grand Lentor Central compact layout. And for Coulott Green, Lentor Mansion, Lentor Hill, Lentora, you can see on average is at least going at 2.7 for Lentor Mansion, all the way up to 3.2 million for Coulott Green. So in this case, the gap between the 4-bedder of Springleaf and the rest of Lentor collection is actually much wider.
Yeah, I would say Lentor collection, because Guoco is the only developer over there, so they wanted to build like non-competing products in a way. So you could see that Lentor Modern, their 4-bedders are even up to 3.3 million and they're super big. They're 4-bedder plus study. So anybody that would be looking like, let's say, a compact Lentor Central 1184 would not be the same kind of buyers that would look like at a 3.3 million huge floor plate Lentor Modern.
Yes, indeed. And if you compare, last one is the 5-bedroom, that's very interesting. There's only 2 competing products, in fact 1 to be exact, where Springleaf Residence is going about 3 million. Lentor Modern is a 4-bedroom plus study, plus the kind of flexi.
The one that we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, so it's about 3.17 to up, even 3.3 million for some. And for last one, Lentor Mansion, fully sold out, also about 3.2. So I say Springleaf, in terms of the comparison, only mainly these 2. And from there, if you launch it right, the PSF is correct, then potentially it could be interesting buy to consider.
Yep.
All right. So with this, we've come to the end of this video. I hope that we have done a very in-depth studies and give you a perspective. Of course, if you'd like to find out more about demand supply, okay, comparative, we also have the QR code right below where we can give you greater insight of this area. But as usual, we'll end off with
Our
the
BOA
BOA approach. Buy, wait, or avoid. So if you have a situation, okay, right now, on average about 2,001 per square feet, okay, and below, okay, is this project a buy, wait, or avoid? Okay, so as usual, let's do this, okay? 3, 2, 1, buy. Okay, so why buy?
I think for the prices itself, if they do launch at 2001, with how much Lentor has transacted at, even hitting up to 2004, 2005, they did a pretty good job with the layout, just like Lentor mentioned, because again, it's the same developer, meaning that their quantum will be very low. I think it will give them an edge in terms of exiting, because your 2-bedders over here, it's almost a similar price as your 1-bedders at Lentor. So when it comes to exiting in the future, resale buyers will see, if it's the same quantum, right, I can get a 2-bedder versus a 1-bedder. The 2-bedders will have an edge in exiting, for example.
Yes, so similar, it's an entry price. So similar to Grace, Okay, for me, it's also about the entry price. If you have transaction of like for a 3-bedder or 4-bedder that hit a certain price in the area, for example, 3-bedder is about 2.3, 2.4. For 4-bedder, it's even up to even 3.1, 3.2. And you can buy below that. There's a safety buffer we can consider. Yeah, so along the fact that this is a big development, 900 plus units, bigger than most of the Lentor project, I would say if they launch the right price and it's below our walkaway price, is something that we can consider.
Yep. So if this is a development that you're considering and you want to know a little bit more about how to choose the units in the development, which stacks should you choose, which floor should you choose,
Yes.
you can always scan a QR code over here and we'll get someone to reach out to you. So with that, we'll see you the next time. This is Grace.
This is Christian.
Bye-bye.
See you.